Hello, citizens of the planet. Welcome back to Monday Musings with Larry Lelli. And this past week, we finished up a 4-week process of developing a brand new musical. We call it a lab. And we worked on it every day, 6 days a week, from 10 to 6 every single day. And it was a blast. The show is great. I loved this creative team. They're the best. And I loved our cast. They are amazing. The leads of the cast are all friends of mine from different productions that we've all done over the past years. And what I want to talk about in particular today is the ensemble people in the cast. They were the best kids. Didn't know any of them. That's because they were all kids. They were like 18 and 19 years old. Many of them, this was their first professional gig. In New York, on the Broadway level. And they were amazing. Amazing kids. They did anything and they had the best attitudes and they could do it all. I loved these guys. They were great. And I know I was seeing the future, the next generation of Broadway performers right there. They were amazing. So anyway, it made me think about what was I doing when I was 18? I certainly wasn't in a room in New York City developing a new Broadway musical with one of the biggest directors ever on Broadway. What I was doing was I was wanting to come to New York, but I knew I wasn't ready. So I was honing my craft. I was working on my skills to develop them so that I could compete when I got here, because luckily I knew that it was going to take a lot to compete here, that you had to be the best of the best in order to make it in New York City. I just knew that luckily I had good mentors and teachers who taught me that. So I spent time working on that, and it made me think about maybe you out there, you citizen, watching this. You may be a 13 or 14 or 15-year-old kid in the middle of nowhere, like I was at one time, wondering, gosh, am I ever going to be good enough to be on Broadway? Can I be good enough? Can that be me? Can I go and do that? And I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. And I'm here to tell you, this is what you got to know right now in a very general overview kind of way. First of all, wherever you are, if you are a young person wanting to be a Broadway performer or a musical theater professional anywhere, you have to be studying right now. Even if you're 13 or if you're 18 or whatever. You've got to be in class. You've got to be in acting class, dancing class, scene study. If you're a musician, you need to be taking private lessons with the best teacher you can find in your area. You need to be studying and working and working and working very hard on honing your craft and honing your skills, because you need to be the best of the best in order to compete here in New York City for those jobs. All these kids are. They could do anything. They were amazing. It's because they had been working for years to get here already, even though they were just 18. So that's number one. Number two, you've got to know you have to have the personality where you can take the hardships of this business. You can get up every day and know that you're good enough and go out there and show the world that and try to book that gig. You've got to do that over and over and over. And you will get told no very many times. But for every, 10 or 20 times you hear no, you will hopefully hear one yes, and that will keep you working. You have to have a personality that can take that kind of constant no, constant rejection, okay? And you also have to be able to work well with others. It's very, very important. Collaboration is super important on Broadway. And the last thing is, you need to be able to have an honest assessment of where you are with your skill set and talents and abilities. I hope your family is supportive of you. That's really wonderful if they are, but that's not enough just that your mom tells you that you're the best singer she's ever heard and that you deserve to be on Broadway. That doesn't mean anything. Unless your mom happens to know really what it takes, like she's a former performer herself, she's a current showbiz professional in some regard, or whatever. You need to have that assessment given to you by someone who really knows. Because I didn't know when I was 18. I thought I was great. I wasn't good enough when I was 18. I wasn't good enough, but I thought I was great. But luckily I had other people around me say, you know, you need to work on this, you need to work on this, this is really important, blah, blah, blah. And I went and got those skills and worked on those things so that when I did get to New York City, I did have the chops to compete with others. And you need to do that too. So that means get an honest opinion and assessment from a teacher that you really respect or someone who's currently performing in the business. Make sure you're very honest with yourself and your abilities. Otherwise, you're kind of setting yourself up for failing and a not a very happy time in New York. If, you know, I have seen people like that who they think they're great, but they're not. And it's because they don't have a clue that they're not, because they have the wrong information or they're just clueless. I mean, that happens. So get honest with yourself. It can be done. You got to be really, really good. Okay, so start working. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you next week.